Hi, good morning. Well, I have the perfect person to tell us all about that. I'm here with Jana Colasino, who is the assistant site administrator. So I just want to start with you. Just talk a little bit about this immersive ghost experience. What does that mean and what should people know?
Well, this is a theater production, our third that we've done with Escapism Productions. And if you've been to an escape room, it's kind of like a little bit escape room, a little bit live action role play. The audience doesn't sit down in chairs or seats like you would at a traditional theater production. They're actually part of the show. They're invited in and they get to interact with the actors, move around the house. The house itself is part of the production, and it's just a really, really cool experience for the people who get to come.
Right. And I know you said it's been a hit with the community. Scenes take place in different rooms of this house, and something interesting that you said was that the ending to the show changes possibly each show depending on the interaction between the audience.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think the term they use is retroscripting. So all the characters have really, really deep backstories, and depending on the interactions with the audience, there are so many variables. The show is different. The audience really determines how the show ends up. So we've done probably about, I would say, close to 60 different shows with escapism, and I don't think a single one of them has ended the same way because of the way the audience affects how the show ends.
Great. And what about this house?
Oh, yeah. This is one of my favorite places. This house is the Isham-Terry House. It was built in 1854, and it's just an incredible, incredible treasure telling Hartford's history. This isn't a reconstruction. This is the house the way the family lived in it, and it was lived in by the Isham sisters until 1979. And then it became a museum. So this is a whole new way to experience a museum.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We'll have more on this coming up in the next hour. I'm sure the question everyone wants to know, is this house haunted? I don't know. I don't want to know the answer as of now. Maybe we'll give that to you the next hour. Hi, good morning. Well, it's actually pretty cool. I'm here with Sarah, who's an actress in the show, and I'm going to let you start by just talking a little bit about what this ghost immersion experience is. What do people need to know?
Yeah, so this is a show based in 1875, and so it's an immersive theater where the audience interaction is really key to how the story goes. And so you come into this engagement party, and so events start to unfold, and what happens is the more you interact with the actors, asking them questions, and really figuring out who they are, they start to spill a little bit of their secrets, a little bit of who they are, and as events unfold, you find out that there's this murder that's happened, and at the end, the audience is encouraged to figure out who the murderer is with the evidence they've gathered throughout the whole show.
Wow, so like a murder mystery party, but essentially there's no stage. Different scenes take place in different rooms of this house, which is really cool. And you said that the audience has to figure out who has done it at the end, and that can vary from show to show depending on what the audience picks up on.
Yeah, so the murderer is always the same, but whether the audience gets who the murderer is always different. So there are three possible endings. The good ending, which is when the murderer is found, the bad ending, which is when the murderer isn't found, and the really bad ending, which is when certain characters are chosen and certain events unfold because of that. And there's also a fourth possible ending, which is if the audience is smarter than we are, we go with what they've come up with.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. And what's also very cool is your costume. Take a look at this. I know you said that this is completely handmade.
Yeah, so everything from the undergarments up is handmade by one of she's our costumer, who's also one of the actors in the play. And so from the chemise to the corset cover to the bodice and my skirt, all handmade by her. Most of the other ladies have a petticoat underneath, which gives like the nice lobster tail feeling. And it's really cool. She does an amazing job.
Great, and very cool. And when are your next upcoming shows?
So we have 4 more shows. One of the last show is sold out, but we have Friday and Saturday, 2 shows on those days. You can find them on Escapism Production website as well as the Landmarks website.
Okay, great. And we actually have that link on our website too, fox61.com, if you're interested in coming out and seeing this show, which is super cool already, just being in this house. It's very spooky. I've heard a few stories about Maybe this house could end up being haunted. I don't know. For now, I'm in denial, so I'm doing okay. It's light outside. The sun is shining through. So if you turn out the lights, we're going to have a different story. Tim and Symphony, back over to you. It's CT Haunts Week, and we're here at the Isham-Terry House in Hartford. I'm not going to lie, it is pretty spooky. This house is super old and has a lot of history behind it. So for that, I'm going to go to Jana just to talk a little bit more about how old this house is and what people need to know.
Well, the house was built in 1854 and lived in by the Roberts family, and then the Ishams moved in 1896, and if you can believe it, some of the Isham family lived here until the late 1970s. This is the house as the Isham family lived in it. We have a lot of pictures from the 1890s that show pretty much everything in the same place. So when people get to visit, they'll see this little time capsule of Hartford history.
Right, awesome. And there's a show here that is actually going to happen again this weekend, and it's really cool. They do this immersive experience where the actors are in each room of the house, and they go to different rooms to then have this murder mystery type party where the audience has to decide who the killer is. So I'm here with Sarah, who's an actress in the show. Can you just talk a little bit about that part with the audience and how they really have a say in what they can figure out to happen here in the show?
Yeah, so right from the beginning, when the audience enters, it's their interactions with the actors, the questions they're asking, the sort of comments, sort of direct how the show will go. So ultimately, by the end of the show, when these different pieces of evidence comes out and how you really treat those actors, different things will play out.
The costume, completely handmade, and it's also made to be authentic.
Yeah, so it's historically accurately made by Jess, our costumer, and so it's really cool to see everybody in like these beautiful ball gowns, beautiful suits, and it really does help with that immersive feeling of the show.
All right, well, we know that the show's a little bit spooky too. I'm going to have Janet come back here just to wrap up here. So my final question for you both, what do you think? Is this house haunted at all? Everyone wants to know.
I haven't had any personal hauntings in this house.
Personal hauntings? I know you have some.
I think it's definitely going to be haunted this weekend. So if you come to our shows, there definitely will be ghosts here.
Awesome, great. Well, Thank you so much. And the tickets for that show can be found on our website. All the information for that, fox61.com. In Hartford, Lindsay Kane, Fox 61 News.